Yeah, no, that's pretty cool. So her goal wasn't to be a Hiller highlight. That wasn't like it coming in.
What happened with that? What's so funny is that when we first started working together, she told me that her biggest fear was being on Hiller Fit.
Man, here we are.
That's probably like a very popular fear amongst a lot of competitors.
Yeah.
I was looking on Instagram and I was like, I think that's one of our people.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's one of our people. All right, and we're here with another episode of the Corpus Animus podcast with coaches Adam Rogers, Mia Gianelli, and Mike McGoldrick, and we're here to talk about the 2025 age group CrossFit Games. I almost said Masters. I keep wanting to say Masters, but it's age group.
That's a good save.
It was a good save.
Thanks.
All right, we got a list of a bunch of things to talk about. Adam's the organizer and is gonna make sure that we stay on track. I wasn't throwing you on the bus saying
there
like you got to lead it all. I was just saying that you have a nice list to make sure that we don't like run on too long on one specific topic. But yeah, start with just kind of big picture thoughts and.
Let's start with addressing your voice. What the hell, dude?
Well, Roy Cohen's responsible for this, so
we'll get too wild.
Everyone's
later.
like, "Oh no, did you get sick?" And I was like, "No, I yelled until it just like I felt a pop."
Yeah. I was trying to, as the weekend went, I was trying to keep a summary of things that we could talk about on the podcast after, because we had scheduled this before we left. And at the very end of all of it, one of the coolest things that happened all weekend was Roy Cohen. I don't know if you want to talk about it now, if you want to wait till later.
Well, yeah, let's just explain it first, and we'll get to what else he had done this weekend. But Roy's one of our compete athletes. He's 40 to 44. He's been in the program for like 6 years. He's been in there a long time. And he's just, when you think of our compete program, you think of Roy. Like, he's been in there. He's always kind and like consistent with his posting, a great athlete. Everyone knows him. So
he says funny stuff in the water cooler.
He says funny stuff. He's always welcoming to new people. He sticks up for people when someone's being a jerk. Like, he's just like great to have in the group. And he qualified this year for the Masters games, so it was just really awesome for him, and we're all like super pumped and happy to support him. Coming into the third day, they basically have a cut. So after 3 days, they're going to cut. So to make the last day, you have to make top 15. He's in 21st place going into the final workout for day 3. Last chance to basically go for it and not get cut. And we're talking beforehand and we're like, hey man, it's like 30 points. Like, you got to throw a Hail Mary. Like, you got to go for it.
Yeah. And it's not just 30 points. It's 5 guys that you had to make up those points on. It's one thing if it's like 15th to 16th place and it's these, and you just have to beat that one guy by it. But it was all of those spots that he had to jump to.
Yeah. And he was like, all right, I guess I got a chance. You know, I'm like, yeah, dude, just go for it. Give everything. And he goes out. He's doing the event. It's the ring muscle up overhead squat box jump over workout, which is a good workout for Roy. Well, he ends up freaking winning it. He takes first place in the whole thing. And I was going so crazy, screaming. I'm in the back corner, and there's probably videos he's got, but I'm like over by the bleachers kind of alone, and I'm in the judging area where you're not supposed to be because I'm running up in and out of the lane. And I'm just like, like screaming. And I literally was yelling so hard that I just like, I felt my voice just stop. And I was like, oh shit.
What your voice is now is like 50% better than what it was before.
It was like so bad.
Yeah, so that happened on Saturday, and on Sunday we're trying to like organize our group picture and everything, and Mike's speaking in sign language because there's no sound coming out at all.
I know. People, it was so bad Sunday. I went out with Erin Evans and Austin Evans and like her crew and had like some pizza that night, and I was so self-conscious because they would ask me questions and I'd try to talk, and I was like, I just sound, and they would give me like this kind of like, oh, you know, like, are you okay? It was bad. But anyway, thank you, Roy. I'm happy to take this souvenir home from Columbus.
That was a worthy sacrifice to make for his first place.
Man, it was so awesome. Yeah. Great guy for it to happen to.
So I didn't make the trip. How was the games overall?
I had a great experience.
Overall, 2 thumbs up for me.
Yeah, overall 2 thumbs up. There's a lot of really, really good things about it. I think that the venue, that convention center, was awesome. I know Mia probably didn't like it because it was about 20 degrees.
It was so cold.
Is that where they do the Arnold?
Yeah, so the entrance to the ballroom floor where the event was is by that big door where they got the Arnold statue.
Nice.
So that was really cool. That was like a throwback. The athlete camp hangout area, that ballroom, is actually where I did my first in-person CrossFit event back in 2010. I competed in the sectionals
The Ohio sectionals.
The Ohio sectionals, and I was showing them pictures of Adam from 2010 doing a clean and jerk that looks like Mike's like push press clean and jerk with like no dip.
Oh yeah,
perfect technique.
Yeah,
perfect technique. But from that same ballroom, so that was a fun little throwback.
That's awesome.
Yeah, the venue was really, really nice. And even that area around Columbus was really cool.
I was surprised at how cool that city was.
Yeah.
It was clean. It was like we
Columbus
walked everywhere.
Yeah.
It was nice.
Walking distance to North Market, which had every food option available that you can possibly imagine. The gym that we went to, which was connected to not connected to our hotel,
around
but
the corner,
yeah, that gym was
Pros Gym.
Shout out to Pros Gym.
That was great.
Mike just used the posing room.
Well, yeah, Mia was texting me. She's like, "Why is there posing rooms everywhere?" I was like, "This is where they host the Arnold." She's like, "Oh." They had a nice sauna. I took a few naps in it.
We don't recommend napping in a sauna.
No,
That's not
I
safe.
didn't mean to fall asleep.
Yeah.
Did y'all see any furries at the North Market?
I didn't see any furries. Did
What's
you
a
see
furry?
furries?
You know, the people who dress in like the giant animal costumes?
Is that
No.
normal for that area?
I don't know. Last time I went to North Market, there was like a whole squad.
Oh, maybe.
Oh, you went? You've
Was this
eaten
during
in that
the
place
Arnold?
before?
Yeah, yeah. It was
Yeah,
during
this
the
was
Arnold.
awesome.
Oh, that probably had more to do with the convention
we
than the
probably
I don't
just
think they were
town.
there for the Arnold.
We probably just timed it wrong.
Yeah.
I don't know. I liked the venue. The weather was awesome. I think compared to Birmingham was so hot last year.
Yeah.
So like the complete opposite of what you were saying. It was so hot, but like where we were, there were hotels everywhere, little scooters everywhere. I was like the happiest dude just riding a scooter around all weekend and food everywhere. It was great.
The weather of the run on day one was perfect. Like you couldn't have picked better running weather unless there was maybe like a little bit of a mist going. But I think overall that weather was great for that event.
Yeah, even the setup of like, hey, we have an offsite event. It's the run, and like it was within walking distance of the venue. So like most people just walked from their hotel or scooted there. Like it was so convenient. It was just well set up.
Yeah. The schedule all weekend was basically to the minute.
Yeah.
They never strayed from that all weekend long, which I thought was super impressive. I mean, I forget how many divisions they actually had, probably like 12 or 14. Do you know? Something like that. And with all of those moving pieces, there was 3 workout floors that people were working on. Every single floor ran to the minute every single time. Like you could always count on it.
Yeah.
Which I think says a lot about their organization. The other thing that I really liked, which I mean, I'm not on Instagram a lot, but the posts that I saw on there, they were giving the athletes handles and like tagging them in the pictures. That way you could follow them. You could go and look more at their story. They were actually getting like specific shout outs from like the CrossFit Games Instagram account, which I thought was a really good touch.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought so too. I mean, it looked like the staffing and volunteering that was helping was well taken care of also. I'd actually like to hear from their experience. But the behind the scenes coaching stuff, when something would go wrong, like I had a couple of heat issues where one of my athletes was placed in a different heat than they should have been. And the ability and accessibility to walk up and like talk to someone quickly and them actually just be like, oh yeah, we messed up, and they changed it really quickly. It was just a really nice experience where a lot of comps in the past, it's been like, sorry, that's how it is. And I'm like, no, that's not fair. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah. You kind of feel like you're getting strong armed in some sense, but I never got that sense here.
No. It's all
Did
good.
either of you have any athletes go through an appeal process?
No.
No.
Nope.
No. I was just curious if you knew how smoothly that
We did the
worked.
opposite of that. They had Erin's score wrong on her sled push workout for 5 rounds. And I was like, you didn't get 5 rounds. And she's like, okay. And I was like, you need to go change it. So we went up and they were like, hey, this score's wrong. And she was like, are you sure? No, this is what the judge wrote. And I was like, she didn't do that. Like, you need to change that. And they were like, thank you.
So you kind of did.
A reverse appeal.
Yeah.
You don't see that too often.
Yeah.
No, I think that next thing we should probably talk about is just the athletes themselves. Like just go through our athletes, maybe give some highlights, maybe give some notes about training and stuff leading up to it. I
think overall it was a good weekend. They all performed very well. We had 11 athletes that in some capacity we were supporting, through affiliate, compete individuals under the Training Think Tank brand in some way. And of those 11, 9 of them made it to day 4, which I thought was really good considering how many of them were rookies too. Yeah. So I was super proud of that just because, they had cut the field down a little bit from the previous year. So it's even more competitive in some divisions. So getting into the top 15 was actually pretty hard. Yeah. There was, no one was like super rounded in all divisions where you had like the ability to like have a bomb and, not completely impact you, where it was like a fight to get in the top 15.
No, absolutely. It was definitely a challenge to make that cut line by the end of it. that's one of the reasons that we were so excited for Roy.
I know.
That home run.
That's such a huge jump.
I know. Yeah.
Crazy.
That was awesome. Samuel Hicks was the only teen athlete associated with TTT that was there. Katie Sherritt was there helping him.
Yep. From CrossFit Hard Knocks.
Yeah, I know that the weekend overall was probably like a mix of emotions, but he definitely had some good, strong finishes. I think he got like 4th place on the clean and jerk, which is pretty cool.
Monster clean and jerk.
So you got like
285, I think.
Yeah, like something like 280, 4th place in that division, which is kind of nuts to say that
14
and 15 years old are
like,
clean and jerking 300 pounds. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Let alone the girl.
Yeah.
What was her name? Justin Kotler's athlete, that 14-year-old that clean and jerk 260.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I thought someone was messing with me when they told me that. I was like, are you serious?
Yeah, that's so wild to me. Anyways, Samuel, he did well on that one. I know that Katie said that he did really well on the deadlift and sled one too. So I think that's always the challenge of a rookie athlete is still like, even if the overall placement didn't go well and like maybe you didn't make the cut, is still trying to make sure that you give yourself some room and some space to be able to still look back and with pride at the ones that did go well.
Yeah. And you know, and like, isn't it crazy how it, you know, you've reached the pinnacle of that, like getting to the games is like the ultimate goal for a lot of these athletes. And you get there, and then if you don't do well, you could be completely discouraged. And it's like, yeah, but like you're not doing the best amongst the best. Like,
yeah,
you know, it's hard to keep perspective on that. And I mean, I think anyone competitive still doesn't want to be at the bottom at any competition, but leaving, you still have to have some perspective. Like, this is amongst the best in the world. Yeah. So you're all right.
Yeah. It's definitely harder in the moment, but hopefully like looking back in retrospect, they can kind of like take that perspective.
Yep.
Yeah. So 35 to 39, Mike was in there. Mike Egan.
Yep. Mike is an insanely knowledgeable competitor. Like, he understands training and like is very detail oriented. And this was a good year for him. He had a very close run at the end where he was right outside the cut line by a couple spots, and he had to take a chance on this final workout to try and get in, and it didn't go in his favor. It ended up, you know, blowing up a little bit, but like him walking away knowing like, all right, like at least I didn't try to be conservative, because the pace those guys were at, the 35 to 39 is, especially top 15, is very competitive. Like, it's a bunch of X Games athletes now. And anyway, Mike had a great weekend overall. It was still an improvement from his previous year. He follows our Compete program, and it was just fun to see him in person. We've chatted a bunch through the app, and seeing him kind of put it all together. He followed the template leading up and the simulation weekend that we had run. So I just have a lot of respect for athletes that are willing to ask for help, to basically, you know, say, hey, like, these are some things that I need some help with and guidance on, but then also to take full responsibility for details and stuff that's, you know, like not just low hanging fruit, but like his understanding of the sport and how data driven he is. Like, I respected his balance of it. And I think it showed that, like, all right, you're like top 20 of the fittest 35 to 39-year-olds in the world, which is not an easy thing to do.
Not at all.
So a lot of respect
there. That division
there.
is so
especially
challenging.
in that division.
I know.
So
yeah.
nuts.
I mean, his training leading in, like, he smoked his 1K pace on the 7K, and then those guys were like averaging low fours, under 4 minutes for a 1K average on a 7K, which was so fast.
Yeah, the guy that won that was 27 something. So he ran a sub 4 minute 1K for 7 of those.
Crazy impressive.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't expect that, you know.
Yeah, super impressive. And then Anna, co-coach Anna.
So Anna, I co-coach with Kyle Ruth, and she came over from Germany with a whole crew, a whole support crew. It was really cool to meet all of them and just see like how much support she had coming from the other side of the world. So she came in, her goal for this year was to just make it to the games, her first year making it. And she had this, it was actually an interesting journey we kind of went on. She had this perspective where her goal was to have fun, which I respect, but it's also like, that's like, what does that mean, you know? Yeah. And it's kind of, and I understand where she's coming from, because that 35 division is so hard. And if you come in as a rookie and you don't want to put more pressure on yourself with rankings and, you know, where you want to end up, because one, you don't really know what you're about to step into, and two, you don't want to set yourself up for disappointment. So that was, you know, her goal was to enjoy the experience and have fun. Well, we get to the end of day one, the middle of day two after the chipper.
Okay.
And she underperformed on that workout, and it was more of like a mental underperformance. And we're hanging out afterwards in the warm-up area, me, her, and one of her friends that came over to help coach her as well. There was a lot of German speak going on, and I was I was a little bit of like trying to understand what was going on. But she was like, I'm not having fun because I'm not doing well. And I'm like, well, yeah, you're a competitor in CrossFit, and I think that we need to not look at the having fun goal as like a cushion for you, and more so understand that like at the end of the day, you're not going to have fun if you're not proud of what you did and you're not proud of your effort. And in order to do that, you have to allow yourself to, push yourself and dig into pain pieces where you don't want to. Like she said that in that second row of the chipper, she's like, well, I didn't want to go to my brain wanted to like not make it hurt too much because it was supposed to be fun, and those things don't work, right? That doesn't
not in a competitive field,
right? Yeah. So it was a cool moment because we had that conversation, and she's like, yeah, I need to reevaluate what my goal is, and she just had a shift after that for the rest of the weekend where she still had good perspective. There were some workouts. She's like a smaller framed athlete, so heavier workouts are going to be more of a struggle for her. And there were a handful of those at the games, but the way that she ended up attacking them, where it was just paced so perfectly for what she had. And she, like, for instance, the sled workout, she started on a more conservative pace and then ended up tracking down a lot of girls on that last round because she knew that she could kind of dig at the end by starting at her pace. And after that workout, it was like, all right, that's what it means to have fun. It's run my own race and not be in the comparison game, but also make sure that I'm setting myself up to walk away knowing I gave that workout everything I had. And then she just like carried that perspective through the rest of the weekend, and she had some awesome executions and she ended up making the cut and making it to the final day. And it was just awesome. Like the whole thing was really cool.
That's cool watching that kind of unravel. That's always a risk, right? Like you want to go, I have something similar to share as well with Aaron, who was in 35 to 39, but you want to put pressure on an athlete so you get the most out of them and they're pleased and happy with their performance, but that is a risk in a sense of potentially not having fun. You fall short, like you have to take chances in those things, especially in a competitive field. So when you say like have fun, to me, the first thing I think of is like, well, I'm only having fun if I'm doing well. Yeah. I've never not done well and had fun.
Right.
Even if I say like, all right, I didn't want to put pressure on myself, it's like, it just doesn't work that way, for a lot of people. So
yeah, I think it's cool that she almost came to the realization herself. Like she just kind of realized like fun and hurting can happen at the same time.
Right.
Like me going out there and having fun doesn't mean I have to be comfortable the whole time. It doesn't mean that I'm not hurting and not trying for points. Like still go out there and fight for points, but the fun part is maybe looking back afterwards and knowing that like it was about your effort. It was about knowing that you went out there and gave everything you had, because I think that that's what every CrossFitter would want looking back. Yeah, no, that's pretty cool. So her goal wasn't to be a Hiller highlight. That wasn't like it coming in.
What happened with that?
What's so funny is that when we first started working together, she told me that her biggest fear was being on Hiller Fit.
Man, here we are.
That's probably like a very popular fear amongst a lot of competitors.
Yeah.
I was looking on Instagram and I was like, I think that's one of our people.
Yeah.
That's one of our people.
You ain't wrong.
Mean, I actually didn't even read his caption because I'm not on Instagram.
It looked like
anymore,
he was critiquing the
it was the movement
we'll get
standard, not her. I mean, we spent so much time in the warm-up area trying to figure out the kettlebell cleans because we were so nervous about the standard, but she wanted to, of course, like everyone, move fast on them, and she was so stressed about them going in. And so we ended up coming up with 2 techniques. So we're like, start here. If this is not a rep, because honestly, I don't really know if it is or not, then this is what we're going to go to.
Yeah.
And they were reps in the eyes of the law. I don't know.
She ended up
the judge. Maybe not the internet.
Making a post on her Instagram, but it was in German. Did anyone translate what she said?
No.
As a response to
I'm
Hiller?
going to read it now.
No, I didn't see it.
Yeah. I
hope she embraced it.
But
yeah,
on
she
that
wasn't
note,
upset.
what a freaking, some athletes are more mature than me and they're like, whatever, I don't care. But what a stressful thing to go through when you're in the middle of a competition to like have to deal with that crap. Or if you hear about it, it's like, or the other competitors are like looking at you now, like eye rolling, like if it's in the context that you were like trying to cheat or something.
But she was not the only person doing them like that. Because I saw that strategy because I saw other people doing it in heats before. And I'm like, well, they're they're winning this workout because of that.
Yeah.
So I didn't see anyone get no rep for that movement.
I didn't see one kettlebell clean no rep.
Right.
I watched a lot of
saw,
stream. I watched a lot of
1,000
At least there was
pistol
that,
no reps,
right?
Yeah,
Like,
at least there was
like, all right, we did not make this clear. Just count them.
them. Maybe that's one good
Because
thing
if that
came out of
didn't
it.
happen, that's what we'd be saying right now.
Right.
Yeah,
We'd be like,
if
hey,
it's-
just count them if you
if
can't
there's
make it
different
clear.
standards, lane to lane, or even like heat to heat, that'd be a much bigger problem in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think it's still a big issue in terms of movement selection. But
If you
at least
were
a
no
good thing
reps,
is-
drop a comment down below. I want to know who it was.
Yeah,
See if we're wrong. But yeah, I didn't see any.
I was kind of
Someone's
hoping
going to be
that.
like, I got all no
I know.
reps for my
You guys are
weekend.
idiots. You weren't seeing what I saw.
No, I hope that wasn't the case. Yeah, you want to talk more about Aaron?
Yeah, Aaron Evans has been a longtime follower of Compete. Her husband, Austin, client of yours for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
They run Coast Mountain CrossFit in Vancouver, and they follow affiliate programming. She reached out, wanted to get ready for the games, and we've had 4 or 5 months to get ready. And there were some weaknesses, things that I knew would probably be challenged and exposed at the game. So we got to work on them right away. And what's even crazier is, one, her qualifying 35-39 was very impressive. Like, kind of following our program and having a little bit of personal work with her own husband and doing that stuff. But this is her first individual competition ever. Like, she's done teams, but she's never competed completely individual before.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And I was like, whew, yeah, I feel your pressure, So there was a lot of nerves and headspace challenges with, do I belong here? Was it a fluke? And
Did you say what number she qualified?
she was like top, she was 4th.
Yeah, so she qualified high.
She qualified very
division.
high,
Yeah.
So already there's pressure of like, all right, well, everyone's looking at me, like, how well should I do in this? And we just had a lot of conversations on like, look, you can't put that kind of pressure on yourself. If all the people that you're competing against have done this for over 10 years, like, they've been through all the processes and experiences of things that happen when it comes to competing individually. You can do all the planning and preparation in the world, but like, things just still happen, and you learn from those experiences. You miss legless rope climb reps, you get bad judges, like, all those things are just inevitable when it comes to competing individually, and you haven't gone through any of that yet. So I didn't want to like put that in her head that those things were going to happen, but I'm trying to set her up with the expectation that they could. How do you respond to it? So a lot of that, anyways, worked on her running. Her running got great. Much better. She PR'd her 5K in the middle of the 7K. She PR'd her clean and jerk on day 1. So like, all of the raw fitness metrics got better leading in. So it was just a great start. Day 2 was rocky, some very challenging movements, things that just, like the battle we talked about, like, you start wondering, am I good enough to be here? Like, that felt harder than I expected. How do you pull yourself out of that? And she absolutely did. She pulled herself out of it and had a rocking day 3 and 4. Was a little bit outside of the cut line coming in on day 3, and then just basically had a complete mental shift where she finished top 10 on everything the remainder of the weekend and ended up 8th place overall.
Wow.
So it was just like watching the script flip in her head to where it went from, I absolutely deserve to be here, oh, I can run with the top in this, and watching her go out and attack workouts where she took control of them was really fun to watch and very, very rewarding as a coach.
Yeah, it'd be cool to see her carry that forward too.
I know.
That experience on the floor of feeling that light, like that light switch go up and down and be like, oh, this is what this is like. I know I can do this. I know I can recreate this. Like, that's a really, really powerful experience.
Yeah.
It's one thing to like hear a coach say, you've got more than this, or like, you're underperforming, or like, you left something out there because you were protective. It's another thing to experience it and make the change while you're right there, and then understand how powerful that is. That's really cool.
Yeah. I mean, once they believe it, you can see it, and then it, they'll say it, but sometimes they say it and you don't believe them when they're saying it. You got to see them do it and put it into action on the floor. And definitely witnessed that on the back half of the event. So that was pretty cool.
Nice.
All right.
Ruth.
Yeah. Talk about Kyle. So this is Kyle's second games as an individual. He made it last year in the last year of the 35-39, which I thought was super impressive. So his first individual appearance was probably the hardest year to qualify in an age group, I would say, is that last year of the 35-39.
So he was an oldie.
Yeah. So coming into this one.
Now he's a youngie.
Now he's a youngie. That's how I like to call him, youngie Ruthie. I think expectations are up a little bit higher. I think that a lot of the stuff outside of training and competing probably didn't work in his favor. He had a ton of work. He's got a lot going on in a coaching plate. He had a grade 2 hamstring tear a month ago. He had a pec strain a couple of weeks ago. So there was a lot of things training wise that we were kind of like juggling and trying to figure out. But we came in healthy. We came in confident. We came in sort of liking the layout of the weekend. And I think that it was, like with most people, it was kind of an up and down as we went. So similarly, Aaron, he PR'd his 5K in the middle of that 7K run, which is awesome. Running long distance running for him is
super impressive, his run.
Yeah, it's always been something where it's like, is he going to cramp? Is he going to be able to make it through this in one piece? I think honestly, a lot of the High Rocks prep that you guys did probably paid off huge in that.
I was wondering where that 1K split was in the High Rocks.
So he trained that at probably, I think that his training pace compared to his actual testing pace there was probably 30 seconds per 1K faster. So it was huge improvement. And then his clean and jerk, it's just always fun to watch that dude lift.
Yeah.
I think that our expectations were somewhere around like that 330 to 335 was going to be up there at the top. So I said I wanted him to take 330 as his third lift, which is a little bit heavier than what he was planning on. He went out there and smoked it, took a home run shot at 340, which would have got first, but it was really close. He ended up cleaning it, but not being able to get it up overhead. But yeah, I could watch him lift all day. It's just so fun.
Yep.
It looks like there's no stick at all in any of his lifts.
Yeah, we're both very similar. There's no sign of slowing in any lift. It's 0 to 100. It's like binary. It's on or off.
All of a sudden there's a miss, and you're like, what? The one before that looked easy.
Like bench pressing. People are like, oh, man, you had 3 more in you. I'm like, no, I didn't. Like it's like going, it's gone.
Yeah. No, you guys are very similar.
Yeah, that's awesome.
There were some CrossFit things that probably weren't, they could have been executed a little bit better. There were some judge no rep calls that maybe were some deserved, some probably not deserved. So the GHD workout hurt us a little bit more than we were planning on. The other one that I think that I need to take a little bit of blame on is the deadlift sled push one. We had talked to Anna before, and she had said, like, don't go balls to the wall on that one right out of the gates. Like, you're going to be able to bring people back. And in my head, I was also kind of thinking I didn't want him to push super hard on that one, because that's a kind of setup, especially for athletes like you guys. It can come back and bite you if you spill over in that, especially when he's still like not completely trusting his hamstring. Yeah. So I told him, don't try and sprint the sled, just push those at a steady pace, try and win those with the transitions. And everybody in that division was basically like lapping him, because he came out conservative. Again, like I told him to, it had nothing to do with him. He executed the way that like we wanted to. It was just everybody in that division was moving so fast from the start.
Do you think the sled was maybe relatively lighter for the men versus the women?
Watching it go and watching them not put more weight on as the divisions went, I was surprised. And then it got me thinking, maybe we need to be moving this a little bit faster. I just wasn't ready to take that risk.
I mean, what I saw with that workout, and aside from a handful of really strong female athletes, what it looked like was the guys had a kick with like 20 to 30 seconds left. They started pushing the sled really fast, knowing they were almost done. The women, I didn't see that. They went out fast, and it just like never sped back up, with the exception of like a few that wanted, like Carolyn Klutz. Like, she definitely had a kick at the end. She just had gas tank for it. But that's the difference I saw for the guys versus girls in doing that, was the drop-off was like significantly more visible. Yeah.
I think in hindsight, it actually probably paid off, because the events that he did after that, he was fresh for, he trusted his legs, his hamstring felt good. So knowing that we kind of accepted that result being as what it was, even though it was low down, it actually set him up really well for the ring muscle up overhead squat one, and then also the snatch one. I think that both of those, I mean,
he did awesome.
I think third place in the ring muscle up one, and then second place in the last one were both just, I mean, great finishes, but also just like he felt ready to go. And then even by the end of day 4, he was like, I feel good. Like, I feel like I could do a couple more. Yeah. So I like that. I like coming out of it like that. But watching Kyle compete is always rewarding to me, because he is super present. Like, you'll see him smile at his family. You'll see him joking and laughing with the people in the back. You'll see him shaking hands with his judge. That's a guy that goes out there and he wears the TTT shirt, and like, he makes all of us proud when he does it. So I'm always happy to be in his corner, and I'm looking forward to more.
Much respect there. Yep. Yeah. The guy is very good at his craft.
All right. Was he coaching this weekend too?
Well, he was checking in a little bit often with Anna and Dana, but he let Mia and Becky do the job for the most part for him.
Yeah, I mean, Kyle's so proactive that at the very beginning of this season, whenever he took on a Masters athlete that had a chance to make it to the games, he made sure that he had another coach ready to help support with that. So, like, I've been working with Anna since she started with us, and then he brought Becky in to help with Dana, so that these athletes were comfortable with us, and it wasn't like, I'm just going to give you another random coach while I'm competing. So he's dialed in.
Yeah.
Big Roy, we already talked about Roy a little bit, but Roy Cohen, again, like, been in the program for a long time.
It was definitely my favorite like just moment of the weekend was
Yes.
watching, because I was sitting with his crew while it was happening. So he's got one
nice.
person live streaming. He's got other people over here yelling at him.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that was awesome.
I was at the other end and he's walking back and I was just like smacking my hands so hard. And I think I came up to you after and was like, my hands feel like they're swollen. And he gave, like, watching him when he came back to start. I know. When he came back to start his last round, he kind of was walking, like did one of these. He's like, yeah, I'm doing it. It was cool. Yeah.
That's such a good feeling.
I know.
I posted a picture of him on his back in between the intervals of the Echo handstand push-up double under one.
Yeah.
He's like, I didn't want to stand up. So in between, during the 1 minute rest break, he just laid starfish on his back like this for like 30 seconds. And then he had somebody sitting there counting him down. All right, you got 10 seconds. You got to get up. And so you just hop up and go do the next round.
Yeah. I think there's something to having that kind of personality in competitions, especially a long competition like that where it's 4 days long. He never seemed over anxious. I'm sure inside he had a lot of nerves. It's his first time at the games, but the way he carried himself was very calm. He warmed up slowly. I kept watching him and helping him warm up, thinking like, are you ready? Like you're just not fired up. But I think that there's something to that where you kind of conserve your energy through the weekend. And it just allowed him to just stay consistent.
Yeah, it fits his personality.
Yeah, and then one workout that we didn't talk about much was the sandbag GHD burpee one, which was probably one of my favorite workouts of the weekend. I was so impressed with him on that, like his fight in that, because that sandbag was huge. Like barely get his arms around it, and just watching him like just grind through it. I mean, he's 50 to 60 pounds less or lighter than a lot of the guys in his field, carrying a 200-pound sandbag. Like it was just impressive work. So,
I did like that workout. I thought that was a well-written workout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Another athlete in the 40 to 44, Jamie Latimer. She's been in programs for a while. She's an affiliate owner, and their gym follows the programming. But watching her compete, she's pretty seasoned as a competitor. She's been around for a long time doing events. And I mean, anytime you see throwdowns, you see her scores up there, like she's in her 40s beating all the girls in the throwdowns on a week-to-week basis. So
Fit lady.
She ended up 5th overall, which I thought was really impressive. And I think props to just like keeping it together all weekend there.
Yeah, very much so. What about Big Phil?
Yeah, Big Phil from Dan Under. Phil's been in our program as well, and he came on site probably like a week and a half before the games. So getting to meet him in person all the way from like north of Sydney, it was really cool. I think he was the tallest competitor there. He might have been the biggest guy there.
He looked like it.
Yeah.
Didn't have a hard time finding him.
A monster of a man. So kind, so awesome. But again, another one who's just kind of calm, cool, and collective through the weekend. And when he would have a bad event, he just let it go quickly. And like, man, some athletes, you got to like work hard to get them over it. He was just like, it was done with, shake it off and move on to the next one. And I think that just like, I don't know, some people just are naturally gifted at competing in that way. They're just really good at letting things go quickly, which is a very hard skill to acquire as a competitor.
Oh man, that's almost impossible to acquire. It's something that we would like preach a lot, to just try and like put it in a box and set it aside, but it's so hard for some people to be able to do that.
I mean, a strategy I give a lot of athletes, and you guys might have tried this, is like when it's someone that I know is going to kind of like carry it with them for a while, and like they want to keep dwelling on it, and the next day they're talking about still what happened. Yeah. Like after the event, I'm like, look, give yourself 1 hour and then like let it go. Like you've got to move on. I'm going to hold you to it. Like tell your support crew, like they'll tell you to shut up. Like it's time to let it go, time to move on and focus. And it's just like, it's something that you have to apply, because otherwise you will continue to let it creep into your thought process when you're warming up for the next event. It's a complete distraction. So it's very difficult. Everyone's personalities are different, but I think that's one simple tool. But Phil, not that problem. His problem, overhead stuff, and he knows it. We knew it going in. He's got some shoulder issues. He's got really long arms. At that point, as a master's athlete, there's just some risk reward, and like, is the juice worth the squeeze in your training for certain movements? I think the pistol was one, right? I had so many conversations with master's athletes. They were like, whatever, they showed up, I'm just going to wait and do them on the floor. It's not worth it to me. Like what they do to my knees down the line, like they were just kind of like, all right, I'll just deal with it when it comes up and get out there. Yeah. I even think Kyle's like that. Like he doesn't do them a lot. We do movements around them, but without training it specifically, because they just like take such a toll on the body.
Yeah. I passionately hate pistols as a training implement, as a single leg strength option for training. Like I hate it. I'd never use it inside of training if I'm trying to get somebody stronger on one leg, but to see them out on the competition floor.
Why do you hate them?
I just think that there's better options. I think that the position that it puts you in is one of like the least biomechanically advantageous positions that you can be in. And it just, everybody walks away sore afterwards, and not in a good way. Not like, oh, I worked my muscles really hard. It's like my joints. My joints hurt awfully. And then my training quality is going to be in the hole for the next 10 days because of it.
I mean, people might argue that are really good at them, but for those that just don't have the same lever set up, I've gone through phases where I've been like, all right, 2-month progressions of banded work, building positions. And then when I go through a phase of actually training them to get ready for competition, I'm able to get through them, but like I don't feel good after like a phase of doing them. So, we keep them in and out. We want to make sure athletes are able to complete them, but as a staple in training, it's just a challenge for masters athletes.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, I mean, if the athlete is on board with basically just biting the bullet and accepting a bottom score because they don't want to train the movement, like, you'll do it. If it's another person where it's like, that you're weak at it, that it's got a chance of being tested, you kind of got to train it a little bit. As much as I might not want them to, and as much as they might not want to, but like if you care about your score and you care about doing well in the sport and that's a possibility, you kind of got to do it a little bit. But I just feel like there's such better options, not only in training, but also in testing.
Yeah. And I mean, that's also an interesting element too, again, for some masters competitors, but your bodies aren't the most resilient as they've ever been. And there's a lot of kind of picking your battles through a weekend. When you have 8 events, you think, all right, well, which one of these could have a really negative impact on the remaining events, and like how hard do I actually push through on this mechanically? And the pistols were one. Like Phil had a hip issue, and we had a conversation before, and he's like, dude, if I go out super fast on those, like I might be done for the weekend. So take the hit, and he got through them, he grinded through them, he kind of sucked it up a little bit, but he didn't try to like completely blow it out. And he ended up getting like 15th in it. It was fine. It was good enough, but it allowed him to continue to play for the rest of the weekend,
Yeah.
So, nice. I mean, I hate that has to be a thing, but that is the reality in for some competitors.
That exists even outside of pistols too, though. I was looking through the leaderboard a little bit, and I think the winner of, it might be the 70-year-old ladies. I think that the lady that won almost every single event except for the run, and you could almost tell it was basically like, I'm just going to get through the run and try and make sure that like I'm healthy for the rest of the weekend, because you could tell, like watching guys and gals walk around in day 2, they were feeling that run. That 7K run took its toll on a lot of them.
Heard a lot of that too. So many athletes are saying, I've had lingering knee stuff that if I really pushed on this, it would just take me out for the weekend. So they're just like, I kind of like walked it, Yeah, I don't know. I feel like that's probably a whole nother conversation we could have, is like at what level or expectation do masters need to have in the sport to maintain that level of volume, because I hate that it's like you have to do that to one of the events, to basically say like, all right, I'm just going to not try to get hurt in this.
Yeah. You want to talk about Colleen?
Yes. So 55 division, Colleen, she's from the same gym as Aaron. This was her first ever CrossFit competition ever, like no other ones.
What a way to start.
Yeah.
I know. That one-ups Aaron.
She's only been doing CrossFit for a couple years and very recreationally. And it was this past year, she started with me, and she said that her goal was to make the games. She had never done any like specific training aside from classes and just like kind of tinkering around on her own. And she does go to a gym that is very knowledgeable. So I'm sure she had a lot of support there and learning, and
a lot of competitors too.
Yeah, learn things the right way, but she never really dug into that. And she is just so talented. Like she ended up 4th over the weekend. She started 2nd place in the run. She was maybe like top 6 or 7 in the lift. And because it was her first competition ever, there were a lot of execution errors, as you would expect. But some of these things cleaned up, like it could have been, she's just so talented.
Did you see her get better day after day as the weekend went on? Kind of like, I'm kind of getting the hang of what it means to go out and like, execute and optimally and perform.
I think she executed on every workout aside from, but like execute with mistakes, like there's going to be mistakes in the sense that like you haven't done this before, but she always bounced back and dealt with things. Like a big issue for her, just even to give a bigger picture, like she had never done a ring muscle up in a workout.
Like in a Metcon?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Like we did them in intervals. She did a lot of them spotting, but like it was very, very controlled. She didn't do her first bar muscle up until the qualifiers. Like she's so green to the sport.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and a big issue for her is the only way that she can do ring muscle ups right now is with a false grip.
Yeah.
So she was really stressed about this going into the competition, was the jumping to the false grip. And I told her like the rings are probably going to be high. So she did a lot of practicing of jumping up high. We get into the warm up area. She uses the 12-inch riser, and she stands up and she can touch the rings with her fingertips. So that's like a huge weight lifted off her shoulders.
Sure.
Like, all right, I can get my false grip. She like nailed some of them in the warm up. Everything was great. They go into the corral and they tell them that the rings out there are 2 inches higher than in the warm up area. And she's like, that's fine. Like I could touch them. 2 inches is not a lot. So she didn't even tell me that they said that you can bring someone to lift you up. They go out onto the floor. She stands, pulls her riser up, stands up, puts her hands up, and it's like 8 inches. Like it's huge.
I would be panicking.
And she looks at me with like these eyes like, oh my God. And I didn't notice the other people on the floor at that point. I was just so like tunneled on her.
Yeah.
Just like, it's okay. Like we can do it. So she, 3, 2, 1, go. She jumps up, completely misses the rings and has to like reset. Jumps up again, kind of gets it, wiggles on up there, goes down, misses her ring muscle up. And at that point, out of the corner of my eye, I see Ant Haynes. And I'm like, why is Ant out there? And then I notice that he's lifting Lee, and I just sprint. Like I just like sprint around the corner. I like kind of asked for permission. Like I kind of yelled into like
you just said you were
the
going.
Distance. I was like, can I help my athlete? And I just like kept going and run out there, and the head judge like runs over to me and she's like, no coaching. I'm like, okay, I don't. So I go up there and like, Colleen, let me lift
coaching.
you.
What is
coaching.
Like you can't give her advice?
I couldn't talk to her.
Just have to be a spotter. Like you can't be out there like counting them down or giving them cues and stuff.
That's a ridiculous rule.
Well, the whole concept was just like, I mean, I just like ran out onto the floor.
Yeah.
You know, like it
You're
was
a human elevator.
It was
You're
a
not
very
coach.
like, you know. But anyways, we end up getting some reps with me lifting her, but it was like just a mess, and ended up being like kind of the crux of like knocking her down the leaderboard a bit. 'Cause she had been in second all weekend. With all that said, she finished fourth, and that was amazing. Like her goal was to make the games, and then her goal was to make it to day 2, which was top 50, or day 4, which is top 15. So she like way far surpassed that. And it's just like relative to her age group, I definitely personally haven't worked with someone that's just like so talented.
Yeah.
I was like, man, like this is
like
crazy.
You just say it like, hey, fix this, and they fix it, and you're like, thank you.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have known.
More so just like relative to her, you know, her competitors.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, like you whatever it is, like you've got it.
I don't think anybody from the outside watching would have said that was her first competition.
No.
Like her movement quality was really good. Her execution was really good. And just like, I think even just like her mindset as an athlete, like you could tell that she was out there competing. So that was really cool to see. I'd be curious to see where it goes from here, because she was like, I don't know if I'm going to keep.
I know.
And I was like, get out of here. You are hooked. You know you're going to keep doing this.
I need a few years of a break. And I'm like,
No, you don't. She's going to be back. I know she will.
I mean, that's awesome.
she's going to listen to this and be annoyed.
In that same division was Dana.
Yes.
And like you said earlier, Kyle, Ruth, and Becky, my wife, they were co-coaching Dana. So coming into the weekend, Becky was going to be like the hands-on coach for her. And there's a couple of things that I've learned about Dana over the years. First, if we have any TTT camp, she will be the first sign up.
Yes.
She will be sitting in the front row of the camp, taking notes on all of the skill sessions.
Best student.
Yeah. I think that her personality and that kind of approach, like it manifests itself out on the floor. Like she's super methodical. She's very meticulous about how she does things, and she holds herself to a high standard of movement. And I think a lot of that kind of shows through when she's in a workout. When she's tired, when there's high volume, she's very, very efficient with her movement. And I think in that division, movement efficiency, like it's one of the biggest separators. I mean, you can picture the handstand push-up, echo bike, double under one. Like a bigger lady who has a little bit more muscle mass might be able to move the echo bike faster or cycle the handstand push-ups faster. But Dana's ability to be super, super efficient with the double unders led her to finish that workout. Even though she's like almost always like one of the last ones there, she was very, very efficient with it just because she's, again, it's that approach. It's that mindful approach to things.
The wall walks too.
Wall walks, like when Mike and I were sitting here watch her do those wall walks, like that's somebody that's been to a TTT camp right there.
You can see
all
it right
of her
away.
movements, there was such a big difference really between her and everyone else, and just like how fine-tuned she was on everything.
So it's she's super detail-oriented. This was also like the other thing that I really appreciate about her approach this weekend was she was very in the moment. She didn't look at the leaderboard the whole weekend. She wouldn't let anybody tell her what her placement was.
That was my favorite part of Dana's story this weekend was like everyone kept being like, hey, you can see Dana, but don't tell her what place she's in.
Then
she didn't know all weekend. She wouldn't look at it. She didn't know she was like riding
look
the
once
second
all weekend.
the whole time.
And they would announce it like towards the end of the weekend when she was like in second and third. They were announcing it, and you could tell she didn't hear it. And we were all like, "Don't listen, don't listen."
Oh, she did. The last event I heard like in second place. I was like, "Well, she knows now."
Yeah.
No, she had no idea.
Nice.
She's just in the moment. On the workout, the ring muscle up workout, she was out there, and she's like. Afterwards, Becky's like, oh, I would have come out there and lifted if you were struggling more. And she's like, I didn't even know there's other coaches out there. So, Dana's approach, her mentality, her movement efficiency were all really good. She also, day one was a huge win. She had knee surgery the end of 2024, I think is what Becky said. And so building back up running volume, building back up strength with the barbell have been like really, really big focuses for them. And she did awesome at both of those events. Not just like even placement wise, just like herself, like getting back to numbers that she's used to be able to hitting. So yeah, I think that her approach over the whole weekend really paid off. Getting third place was the highest TTT finish that we had.
It was awesome.
Yeah, just really, really cool. And I think she probably also won the support crew contest. I think watching Caden there with the head cutouts was probably my favorite.
Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah, so pumped for her. I mean, she's been at it for a while, like competing for a long time, and seeing her break through this year was really great.
It was really cool.
Amy Meyering is someone else that was in the 50 to 54 that we forgot to mention, but she's from a gym that follows affiliate programming, and she had her coach Ryan out there, and getting to meet her and her crew. They're from New Zealand. It's a long way to travel and fly over, but rookie year there, did really well, like ended up 9th place, was really close to podium there at the end and went for it on the final event. But also another athlete that was very green to it, but just watching her execute and be composed through the weekend was super impressive, and just fun to meet so many people from outside of the U.S. that are, followers in some format. And I don't know, it's just very appreciative.
Yeah. No, I mean, so you talked about our athletes a little bit. I think that my big takeaways from the weekend as a whole was just I really, really enjoy the age group competition. I think that watching those people do those kinds of things at like both ends of the spectrum of the age was like, when I think about inspiration, when I think about like the idea of like a proof of concept or a precedent of somebody doing something that's super impressive and like inspires me to want to do the same thing, that's where it is. And so like, I don't know if you guys have highlights from other people, but watching the lifts was really cool. Watching the 70-year-olds lift over 100 pounds, watching that 14-year-old lift 260 pounds.
The teenagers just went out with this recklessness. Yeah. Like it's like they hadn't learned that things hurt yet, and it was just awesome to see that. What do you think could have been changed or improved to make it better? Because I thought overall it was like pretty well executed. We talked about the kettlebell clean workout, but like anything logistic wise that you can remember that stood out?
Well, I think just from like a spectacle thing, one of the things for the events that I would change is the lifting event, the timing of it. I didn't like that they're all lifting at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
I think from a competitive standpoint, it would be kind of cool to have the sort of like wave it way down the floor in terms of maybe like if there's 15 athletes out there, have 3 of them lift on a 20-second clock and then just kind of work your way down. One, I think it allows the stream for you guys to focus, for people who couldn't make it there to see your athlete lift. Because what they had, even though they did have a live stream, it was like the middle of the floor and you could see 5 athletes, and half the time they're not doing anything. If you could do it 3 at a time, not only do you get a little bit more like camera time on that, you also get this feel of like everybody in this arena is watching me do this right now, which I think, I don't know, I just like that energy to it.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think the athletes might disagree with you though. At least my athletes, they were so grateful that they all lifted at the same time. They're like, I don't want anyone looking at me.
I don't like it as a spectator because it's hard for me to see who did what.
When you need to, I think there would be argument too, or I guess not argument, but request that there's seating as well for that, because it's an advantage being like the last of the window, right? So,
yeah, for sure.
Which isn't hard to set up, but What did you think of the 4 lift format versus 3 or even 2 that we've seen?
I like 4. I like
better
4.
than 2.
Yeah, I like 4. I think 2 is basically you're just going out there and you have a 1RM.
Yeah, it's like a pressure test.
Yeah, I think 4 is like, I think the better lifters are going to be able to express what they can do with a 4 lift. I think with 2 lifts, like you kind of have to run the risk of, do I fail? And then the best lifters maybe don't place as high, which maybe is what they want for a competition that does that. 4 lifts I like. I think it's one where you can set up really well to get as close as possible to your potential. Yeah. So for Kyle, it was like, your 3rd lift should be really, really close to what you think you can do. And then you have home run, like, Hail Mary.
Or you miss, you try it again. Like you get that second chance. Because on a 3 lift format, everyone opens conservative, unless you're not very smart, but, you learn the hard way sometimes.
Yeah.
The middle is like, all right, I'll be okay if I hit this, but I wouldn't be like super thrilled, And then the 3rd one is like, this is what I'm going for. And you just get one shot at that. So like seeing them hit a 4th attempt was really cool because it was like, all right, I can do that. I can try that again and get it.
Yeah.
And we saw that with a few people. Dang, I can't remember. I just lost who it was.
The tie break ended up being pretty important in that as well.
Yeah,
which was your
there
total
was
poundage. And in a 4 lift, a lot more people took chances, so there were more
more misses.
More misses, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, what else? Scoring. Originally, the scoring, I think they had that it was scaled from basically 1st place down to 60th place. So 0 ended up being 60. And I was like, oh, well, if you're 30th place and last place, you get 30-something points. And it was like that set up. I think they even logged the scores. And then last second, it looks like they went in and changed it. They adjusted it to where it was only points down to 30th instead of it being a full 60-point scale. So not that matters. I'm glad they actually did that because I think that's honestly better scoring. You know, like you shouldn't get rewarded that much for getting last. But I don't think there was communication on it. I think a lot of people were like, crap, I was banking on doing that with the run and because of my knees or whatever. So anyway.
I think there was a lot of changes.
Yeah.
I think there was a lot of changes, and I don't want to say that I'm against changes for the sake. If there's a really good reason to change something, then you should change it. I think that the whole goal of an event organizer should be to have things as planned out as possible to try and avoid those whenever you can. So the changes that I remember, the scoring table that we saw, it changed basically after the first event.
The deadlift workout.
There was workouts that had equipment changes, going from axle bar to a regular bar to the weights on the bar being changed.
People were going off about that. I woke up that morning to all the messages. Yeah. I guess there was an internal communication app
Signal.
Signal to all competitors, and people were going off.
There were some very unhappy people with the changes in there.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where maybe they didn't have the ability to have the equipment on site to test it to make sure that with the collars and with the weights, all of this would fit on an axle.
Yeah.
Okay. There's a little bit of room for forgiveness, but there's lots of other changes too. There's the box jump height changed on that one. The deadlift bar placement changed as they went. What else was there?
I don't know. Does it matter?
Kettlebell cleans.
Would they give reasons for why they made these changes?
The box jumps, they said for safety, which, okay, but why wasn't that figured out beforehand?
Yeah.
Right?
Unless it was somebody that raised a concern for safety, and then they're like, oh, you're right.
Yeah, and I applaud that, I guess.
Yeah, I don't want to say that I'm against that. If somebody brings up a valid concern that you didn't think about beforehand and you make the change, I actually, I salute that. That's good on you for not being stubborn for the sake of being stubborn. But something with the equipment, I feel could have been planned out a little bit better.
Yeah. All right. What are you going to close with? I feel like.
Well,
hold on. I want you to go more into what was the kettlebell thing.
The kettlebell thing is the one that the biggest one that I would change. I think that's a programming mistake. I think it's a very, in their minds, I think kettlebell as an implement is a good thing to have on the competition floor.
Yeah.
I think that there's movements that you can do with kettlebells that maybe have a little bit cleaner standard, but still test fitness and work capacity and even skill with a kettlebell. I just think it was a mistake to have kettlebell cleans in there and not have a really clean standard on it. I think that anytime that you do, maybe even with barbell, but I think anytime that you do kettlebell cleans, I think that you need to take it overhead to constitute what a good rep is. Otherwise, the standards are just way too murky.
Yeah, I mean, even with a barbell, it's an issue.
Yeah, so
the
picture
French throwdown, doing the fast
hang
power cleans.
It
was a mess.
Yeah, so I think that they kind of made that bet for themselves with that movement, and unfortunately, somebody like Anna becomes the face of it, but it's not her fault. Everybody out there is we told our athletes, you have to do it like this or you're going to lose. It's not we're crazy about coaching that standard. It's just this is the nature of a sport with a standard that's not super clean, and it's. I don't know. You could turn the PFA loose on it and say like make good standard. I think that's just a movement that shouldn't be in a competition, if you ask me.
Yeah, I think there's other things to do. Like you had a suggestion where it could be like doing the thrusters into the pistols didn't make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
You know, like it slowed for so many divisions. It slowed down the workout so much. Like they worked so hard to get there, and then it was just like stopped.
Yeah,
you know,
I think
doing
with
one at a time every 30 seconds. And
I never really know the mindset when they go into the programming side of things. But with a long chipper like that, like you want to test work capacity, right? Like you don't want to have a huge bottleneck in there at the end that completely stops people in their tracks. I don't think. Maybe that's what they want. And if it was, that like they accomplished that. Yeah. I think simple changes, something like that, to make that a chipper that has more of a work capacity flow with movements that have cleaner standards, is to say, all right, 18-minute AMRAP, do 50 cal row, 50 double kettlebell front squats, do 50 toes to bar, and then do 25 double kettlebell hang clean and jerks. Now with the hang clean and jerk, you're taking the implements up overhead for a much cleaner lockout on all of those reps. So you keep the kettlebells in, you test them in 2 different movements, you remove the pistols and you remove the cleans, the things that 1, beat at people's joints, and then 2, have murky standards. I think something like that is a really easy fix, but still like captures the essence of what a chipper should test.
Yeah. Yeah, the poor judges, they're trying to judge it, and it's hard to judge, and the audience is yelling at them for not judging it right. Yeah. And like, I'm doing my best.
Yeah. Everybody out there was basically like taking the blame on something that was, I think, a programming mistake.
Yeah.
The pistols, that was a tough one standard-wise as well.
Yeah.
With their standard was that your foot, a non-working foot, couldn't travel behind your body.
Yeah.
Which is okay, but at some point you have to put your foot back down. Yeah. And that's just like really cutting it close to like what is behind your body and what is not, what is just standing up. And the judges have to make a call on that. And some people get away with stuff, and then some people get unfairly penalized for, just a tough standard.
I would need you guys to tell me what the advantage is of bringing your non-working foot back behind you, that they wanted to rule that out.
Yeah.
I don't know why they wanted to rule it out. It makes it harder. It makes you have like less ability to correct. Cause I know when I'm like tipping forward in a pistol, if I kind of like swing my leg back, I can like readjust myself.
Yeah. You're missing a plane of balance. So essentially if you are shifting too far forward, it'd be like walking on a slack line and being like, you can't adjust right. You can only adjust to your left. All right, well, you're going to fall off.
But with that, with the kettlebell, that's an implement that if you were smart, you could use to counterbalance, because you can reach it out and reach back in. So it's like you're getting penalized for doing it, for counterbalancing one way, but you're allowed to counterbalance the other way. So it was kind of, I didn't understand why that standard was there. I think if you could have just stood up all the way with your other foot.
Yeah.
Not on the ground. It's fine.
Kyle got, I think, 2 no reps, and we weren't clear what exactly happened, but it seemed like the judge was telling him he couldn't bring his foot over across his body and then come up. It wasn't going behind him. It was like kind of going across his other foot. It wasn't touching the ground. It wasn't going behind him, but he was getting a no rep for that. It was just kind of strange. Wow. I know I'm not a fan of the movement just mechanically. I don't think it's right to test it.
2 no reps on that is like 2 clean and jerk no reps. How slow they were going.
Separator in that workout.
It was a huge separator.
On all divisions, like even the younger divisions.
Yeah. I mean, going back to like the sandbag burpee GHD one, I liked that one because we had conversation about that over the weekend on do more CrossFit tests need to be balanced in that way where every element has like equal weight in the workout. Obviously, it's not going to be the same for everyone because some people are bottlenecked. But workouts like that, like no one was super bottlenecked on one of those. It was true capacity across all 3 of them. Yeah. And to me, that just looked like a good a well-programmed workout. It was fun. It was a great race. On paper, I was kind of like, meh. But then when you saw it, I was like, this is a good test. Like, it was a good challenge. So, I don't know. I think there's that's a conversation to be had maybe another time. But just how important it is to make sure that when you're writing CrossFit programming, like those tests, like how often are they balanced across? Even like again, an example of what to me was not balanced was the handstand push-up, echo bike double under. For most divisions, the handstand push-ups were like not important. Yeah, people would go out and they're done in less than 20 seconds through a 2-minute interval. So it just didn't matter that much.
Yeah, just a couple of exceptions, but for the most part, it was basically they were done with that.
Older divisions, it did for sure, but
I think an easy way to test that is to look at a workout and ask, if I removed this movement, would the result of the workout change at all? And if the answer is no, then it's
filler.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of felt that way about the toes to bar and the chipper. Like, I don't know how much 40 toes a bar in that chipper changed anything.
Yeah, I think maybe like the top 5 guys that were racing and girls, that like you could have fallen off a little bit there, but maybe. Yeah, I agree. That's a good point.
I'd need somebody to argue against me for this one, but I think the other big thing that I'd change for the competition as a whole is I'd take the cuts out. I wouldn't make cuts.
I agree with that, and I think if you have to make the cuts, you have to adjust the point system.
Yeah, I think they did they?
They did, yeah. They
did?
Yeah, it changed it. It went down by 7 points.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Sorry, never mind. But anyways, no, I agree with you. I've never liked cuts because there's a little bit of luck there. If you get to the final event and
or bad luck. Yeah.
Yeah. Cause it
could be all your strengths or not,
Well, that, but also you get punished less cause you can't finish as low.
Yeah.
Is that right? So if you get lucky. And
like the worst you're going to do is 15th.
Right.
Like if you go in 10th, you're like, well, worst I can do is 15th. That's great.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I think that cuts in this sport, especially in this division where there's not professional athletes out there, like maybe some of them have some sponsorship deals, but for the most part, these people are paying out of their pocket to travel sometimes across the world to come over and compete, to take away one workout for them just for the sake of having a cut when you still had that whole floor was wide open. They could have run another heat over there. I would just want to know why. I just want to know, come up with an argument about why and then try and convince me out of it. Because in my mind, it's like, let these people just do this last workout. Because you said, there could be some people who were really, really good at rope climbs, just didn't get the chance because the whole testing body had one other gymnastics movement in it.
Yeah.
And there was a whole other floor sitting there, just not being used.
All right. To argue it, I think look at what it did though to the pressure it created on the athletes that weren't comfortably in the top 10. For those that are around that cut line, it kept them alive for the weekend. Yeah. You're going to the final day and you're in 20th. You're like, all right, I'll still try hard. But
so it wouldn't have given us the Roy Cohn story.
Exactly. I mean, it wouldn't have. So I mean, there was a lot of people that were like anxious through the weekend because they know that that's there. They know that like if I get it together last minute, it's too late and I'm gone. So I think there's some element to that. I don't know if that's why they did it, but I think that is what I think is a positive about cuts. I don't like them, but I think that's an element it created. Was it created pressure and it made that last event on Saturday much more exciting because there was a lot on the line.
It was exciting to have one heat.
It did make it easy to watch on Sunday. Yeah.
Yeah, but I still would lean towards, especially in the age group divisions, let them complete the whole weekend.
What I was telling Mike is they could have still done, say that was a schedule thing. Say they wanted to be done by whatever it was, like 2:45 on Sunday. And so they knew they couldn't take all those divisions through it on the same floor, right? But they had, like you said, they had that other floor over there. Let everybody go at the same time. Mm-hmm. Both of those had 15 lanes in them. You have 30 people per division. Just do 2 floors on the same clock, 3, 2, 1, go, and just let them all do it.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
Yeah, it's a good idea. Interesting.
Yeah.
What else you got?
I'm not arguing against your argument.
Okay.
Well, I want to keep arguing, but I don't know.
No, man. I overall, I had a great experience. I thought it was really cool. I think that if I heard rumors, and I don't know because like who knows where these rumors are coming from, that they're thinking about trying to like reintegrate the age group games with the individual games. In my mind, like the first feeling that comes to mind is don't do that. I think that to have them have their own weekend, have their own venue, have their own stream, have their own like ability to get into the CrossFit sort of like social media ecosystem is one of the best things that can happen in terms of like spreading the word for CrossFit or like spreading the news about like what this competition is. And I think that I don't know, the age groupers themselves, their ability to inspire is so much higher than the individuals. I think some people look at the individuals and like hold them up on a pedestal, and it can be really hard to like say, I want to go do that. But I know when I drove back home and I was talking with my parents, my dad's like, I could do what those 7-year-olds are doing. Yeah. Maybe we should do that. Maybe we should do more Dubliners in my program. And Adam's like, all right, let's do it. So like for that, it's like,
it's more approachable.
If they reintegrate it, I would just worry that it would be like swept under the rug again, that those athletes wouldn't feel as like taken care of and like respected and like propped up.
I think where I would maybe argue with that from an athlete's point of view, and this, I'm just going to ignore this year's regular games and look back at other ones. The ability to have all those cool outdoor events would be enticing to me as an athlete if they were brought back together. Yeah. So this year aside, like all of the events on North Park, and like there was just a lot more variation of equipment and like things you can do that are like you only get to do that if you go to the games.
Yeah.
I think that would be a cool reason to reintegrate. But if it continues where you're just like in an arena the whole time and this is very personal preference because arenas are way too cold for me, but and you're limited by equipment and things you can do, right? Then I don't really see a reason to integrate it aside from I think the age groupers would help sell tickets for the regular event.
I absolutely agree with that. That's one of the things
For
that Becky.
sure.
That's one of the things that Becky was calling me out on. Is like to have it all together might make for a better like overall experience. To put more butts in seats at this whole thing. I like to see
people will stay and watch the games once they're done.
I like to see these age groupers like get their moment.
I definitely agree with that.
So
there was also the argument too, like when you had them separated, which I agree. I think the treatment for the event and the attention seemed great this year.
Yeah.
But when it split, it felt like it wasn't the games. You know, it was like just a competition of the best, and it just wasn't the CrossFit games. But to me, it felt more like it this year.
Yeah, I agree with that.
That's kind of gone in a sense. I'm not competing, so I can't speak on behalf of the athletes. But yeah, I don't know. I'll be interested to see what it turns into next year. I thought the venue and setup and format was really good. I do agree. I think maybe next year find a spot that's nearby there that has a field and you fix that element. You know,
there's
like one or two field
that's
workouts and you're
that's
good.
something I complain about for both games this year. I think you lost a little
Outdoor
bit
stuff.
of that element. Like
Yeah.
not so much unknown and unknowable, but like different. You know, like
more
just stuff that you
athleticism.
don't get to do in the gym.
Yeah.
So overall, when we fast forward to the 2026 age group CrossFit Games, will you guys be attending?
Yes.
I'm there.
I hope
I'm
so.
there.
Big fans.
Yeah.
I'm going back to Pros Gym. Oh man.
I do hope they keep it in Columbus.
Yeah, it was cool.
enjoyed it
I
there.
thought the weather was great. It was easy to get to. The airport was fast. Just so many good things about it in terms of a comp experience with like easy to get food. And I know we talked about that a bunch in the beginning. I got to give a shout out to two volunteers that I met, Dan and Sarah from north of Chicago. They just, I don't know, they were super nice, and I've gone to competitions, and I'm always thankful and appreciative of the volunteers, but speaking to them and hearing their story of their members at their gym, they're empty nesters now, their kids are older and moved on and out of the house, and they decided to spend their time now to like come and volunteer at these events. And I was like, what a selfless thing to do.
Yeah.
You know, like they spend their own money to come out. They're not getting paid to do that, you know, out of their own pocket for all these athletes to just kind of have their moment and feel like this is my big thing. I don't think people appreciate that enough, that there's so many people there that are supporting this to make it happen. And without all those people, those events would not do well at all. They would crumble.
Yeah.
So Thank you guys.
Dave and Sarah?
Dan and Sarah.
Yep. Yeah. Specifically them. The other volunteers also.
They were some of the greatest ones.
Nice.
All right, guys. We'll see you next time.
All right. Thanks.